Let's talk about this with the woman who actually introduced Black History Month to the UK and has got an OBE for her services towards the cause of diversity, and that is Linda Bellos, who's former chair of the Institute of Equality and Diversity Practitioners. And Linda, long time no see. Welcome to the show. I remember you from your Lambeth Council days when you were, I think, I'm being polite, notorious for some of the things that the council did. Thank you for joining us. Is Channel 4 right to protest against the appointment of 4 white board members?
Oh, gosh. I remember things from the past as well, including the creation of Channel 4 and what it said it would do. I don't recall that when I have to pay my licence fee, I don't get a discount for being black, even though I have to pay the same as everybody else. I think as black people, we're part of this country. I was born here 72 years ago. My father fought in the war, as did many African and Caribbean men and women. We're part of society.
Yes.
And
who was questioning that?
Sorry?
Who was questioning that?
Oh, lots of people.
OK, so why...
MPs, Tory MPs, some Labour MPs, a whole host of people. I promise you, the fact that I have Alzheimer's and I can't give you the names of each individual.
No, that's fine. I completely understand. But Linda, what, I'm asking you, should they not have been appointed because they're white?
The other way round. Does that broadcaster have a duty to be inclusive? And if it does, what is it doing to ensure that it appoints competent? Not merely being black is not a I can't even think of the blasted word.
It's not a sufficient qualification for the job.
No, nor is being a woman, nor is being a lesbian, nor is being a disabled person. One has to be competent to bring something to the job, so that one is addressing the British people.
But that's your argument is therefore that the board and the entire staff and presumably people who are on air on Channel 4, they should be representative percentage-wise of the general British population?
No, I do not think that. I do not think that. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, it was a question.
If there is a vacancy in any organisation, you look to see what do we both need. Who do we want to? How do we make sure that we've got a wide diversity of people? Yes, people. To ensure that our product, whatever it is reflective of the people we want to sell our goods to.
But in that diversity world, people are judged on, skin colour, sexuality, and things like that. Linda, let me finish. Which are things which are immutable. I believe people are born gay, or I believe people, obviously people are born with the skin colour they have. Those are things people don't have any choice about. But whenever we talk about diversity, it never seems to involve diversity of thought. So you could appoint, 50% black or Asian members of the Channel 4 board instead of only 7%, and you could still end up with a board of people who all went to top private schools and all went to Oxbridge and all come from exactly the same backgrounds. That wouldn't be diversity. They wouldn't be representative of either black or white working class people growing up on a housing estate, would they?
No, absolutely. And I've made that point myself many times over the decades. The colour of one's skin is not a determinant of one's competence and what the contribution one would make. That would be true for everybody. Frankly, being a woman is not in and of itself a valid condition unless the services that you're trying to provide are specifically to women. And if you're providing a service to all, all taxpayers, all potential viewers of your services, then it's reasonable, I would say, to have at your board a range of people, right? Not
It doesn't have to be on a quota.
Not a quota. Definitely not a quota.
And yet, when you say, yeah, I understand your point, and I think there is a difference between
working class people, especially.
Yeah, okay, there is a difference between a range and a quota. However, to say, well, what would that range be? Almost by definition, people then put in what they call targets. Now, I don't even approve of having targets the number of women who are at senior levels or on boards in FTSE 100 companies. If we're going to have a target or a quota for anything, can we have some men in some primary schools? I think that would be quite useful. But you know, 20% of ethnic minorities among their staff. I mean, 20% of the population of the UK isn't ethnic minority, 12% for people with disabilities. But again, you know, a lot of the people with disabilities, are they actually able to do that work if it's people with severe mental health problems or perhaps, you know, not able to do that job? And 6% from those who identify as LGBT. Well, that's a massive overrepresentation of the proportion of the population, which is any of those things. I mean, and I don't see why on earth we would need to have representation of people because they're gay. I don't know why being straight or gay is remotely relevant to making a TV show.
Oh, it is relevant in the sense of a sensitivity, an awareness, an ability. I hope that anyone on a board or whatever would apply their judgment, and that surely should be the diversity of the people of this country, and that's why I suppose I get so miffed. That's the politest way I can put it.
Shouldn't it be the diversity of the people who are qualified to do the job? For instance, we have far more white men who are judges, but that's because judges tend to be much older people, and it takes a long time for that whole, you know, the huge number of young women who went into the law and ethnic minorities to work their way up. It's also the same reason for lots of jobs where that is still the case. I mean, you know, again, we have a much larger ethnic minority population, but a lot of that ethnic minority population are very young and often come from working class homes where a lot of them, sadly, because of failures in our education system, don't have the qualifications to go and get some of these jobs. A lot of these are very, you know, competitive jobs where, unfortunately, you know, an awful lot of those white private school kids and Oxbridge kids are just walking into them willy-nilly. Now, we'd like to have more diversity than that, obviously, but we need to make sure that when we say we want people to be representative, that we don't say, you know what, you've got the right colour skin, you've got the right genitals, you tick boxes, and we'll have you in the job, even though you're not as qualified in some cases as other candidates.
Oh, frankly, I don't know which world you're living in, but the world in which I live, this is not the case. I've come across so many articulate, well-educated idiots who happen to be white men.
That is true. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
So will have you, wouldn't it? So it's not sufficient. It's not a sufficient condition to be well-spoken. And I have to tell you that my accent in my early years was South London.
Nothing wrong with that.
I grew up in Britain from 1950. I know this country, this culture, and I am so disappointed at how little progress has been made of late.
How little progress? Are you kidding me? I mean, I think that's what a ridiculous thing to say, Linda.
We've gone backwards.
How have we gone backwards?
How have we gone backwards? Well, let's even say Channel 4, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, was doing really cutting-edge things, and lots of programmes that were absolutely amazing, and lots of people, lots of the public liked and admired that work, even if it was targeted at black and minority ethnic people. Lots of white people liked those programmes. That's the sort of thing I want to see. Greater involvement, greater inclusion of men and women. I won't not see more white working class men and women actually being an integral part of the culture of this country, not merely in playing football or other sort of stereotype things.
Well, you said that again. I see. I mean, I don't know what television shows you're watching, but it seems to me that's pretty much. I think a lot of people feel now an awful lot of the television is always this minority, this minority, this minority. I think this is just more divisive. I don't even like the fact the BBC's got an Asian network.
No,
Why have
no,
you got an
no,
Asian network? You wouldn't
Excuse
have a
me,
white network.
I'm not suggesting that programmes should be made solely for one part of the community. I'm suggesting that the diversity of the community should be in all parts of the services.
OK.
That's the point.
All right. Linda Bellos, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Former chair of the Institute of Equality and Diversity Practitioner. So many of you of my generation remember her from Lambeth Council as well.